Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast. I know I've been absent for a little bit. I've been trying to work on a few things, and I tried to do an interview for the first time, and epic fail. But I'm learning, guys. I'm learning, and I knew going into this that there was going to be some learning curves, and so um, I'm not too disheartened by it or anything like that. I still have the plans to do it, and luckily, I've been able to network with some awesome, incredible people that are giving me a lot of advice, giving me some tips, helping me out. And so it is coming. I promise you guys, it is coming. We tried it. We tried it multiple different ways. We couldn't get it quite work right. And I didn't want to just do it to check a box. I wanted the quality to be there, and as well as the content and everything. So I apologize. Today I wanted to stop in, and so I actually have a couple different businesses going on at this point, but one of them is a business consultant. That's kind of my where I make my money, and I go in and I kind of help companies where their bottom line is struggling and they can't quite figure it out or can't figure out why, or there's multiple different reasons of what can affect this stuff. But I go in and I try to help identify some things. I put a plan in place. I implement the plan. I follow through with the plan with them, and then I kind of let them go and check back in, and that's kind of what I do. So I wanted to stop in, and one of the biggest things that I see across the board is we don't put the right people in the right seats. And there's a big reason why, though. There's a common denominator. These companies that manually sift through applications and look at them and source the candidates that way, they run a much, much higher profit margin than these companies using AI. And now these companies using AI will cover this up with it's cheaper to buy the software at a one-time cost and have it filter these candidates for us and using keywords and things like that, qualifiers, disqualifiers, and we'll get our candidate pool that way. And they'll say, well, that's cheaper for that than it is to pay somebody a salary or an hourly pay to do it. But here's the issue. AI doesn't have emotions. And when you're a hiring manager, you hire with emotions, you hire with intelligence, you hire with sympathy. One of my first mentors, Josh. Shout out to you, Josh. But we used to interview people. He had his own depot, I had my depot, and we'd call each other. Like, man, this is a high risk candidate. Yeah, I mean, you can look at their application and you can see job history shoddy. Um, but then you talk to them and you interview them, and it's like, man, I'm just looking for the opportunity, and I just need a chance. Like, man, but then you look at the applications, like, okay, how many times have you said that at these jobs? Are you going to use me like you use these people, or are you finally ready to turn a corner? And as a hiring manager, that's what you're paid to do. You're paid to make those types of decisions. But the problem is with AI, those people don't even get a phone call. And those people are where the talent is. The people that have been counted down and out over and over and over. Their job history sucks. They have nothing to show for. They show up in front of you and said, man, I'm tired of it. I'm ready for a chance. I have a wife. I have a baby on the way. I'm ready to put my big boy pants on. I'm ready to go do something with my life. Can you please give me an opportunity? You know, one of the best people I ever hired was one of the worst interviews I've ever done in my life. The interview was terrible. I'm not going to mention their name, but it was a horrible interview. They interviewed, I had no interest until the very, very end. When they looked at me and they said, I'm not very good at interviews, but if you hire me, I'll bust my ass for you. I promise. Sold. Because then I understood. Because the interview it wasn't good. I'm not gonna lie, it was bad. But some people don't interview very well. Some people get nervous. Some people are intelligent, but they don't test very well. Like, you can't just always put all your eggs in the same baskets. You have to always stay zoomed out, look at the big picture as a hiring manager, and know what's in front of you. It's super, super important. Because you put the wrong people in the wrong chair, it's over. No matter what kind of leader you are, it doesn't matter what incentive you're running, it does not matter. If you don't have the right people in the right chairs, it's game over for you. It's a matter of time. It is a ticking time bomb. And it's happening clear all across this country. We have businesses failing and failing and failing, and it's simply because they do not hire the right people, but it's because they don't even interview the right people because they're using AI. And their AI, they put these keywords in and it filters out the people that are actually talented, willing to work. You only bring people in that are arrogant and think that you are lucky that they're in your building based on, well, I've done this and this and this. Yeah, you're lucky I chose you. Like, man, there's the door, bud. Good luck. And that's the issue. I call those people glorified geniuses. That's from the Extreme Ownership book. That's the people that think they're so smart that we're all just too stupid to realize how smart they are. Yeah, the world is full of these people. And the problem is these people are CEOs, CFOs, owners, hiring managers. We have these people all over the place. And I'm going to tell you, even doing what I'm doing, it's difficult, guys. People do not take criticism very well. No matter how you frame it, how respectful you are with what you're saying, the choice of words that you use, it does not matter. At the end of the day, they feel like you're attacking them on a personal level. Like, bro, I don't even know you personally. Like, why? I'm talking about business right in front of us. This business. And so, like, it's difficult. It's hard. It's not for the faint of heart. You walk into a CEO's office and tell them what they're doing wrong, there's some kickback. And I know some of my other consultants out there, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, obviously, like I said, you frame it up and whatnot, but still, at the end of the day, there's friction there. But at the importance of not using AI, filter through your own applications, get rid of that program, hire somebody, or block off your schedule so you can spend some time sifting through them, whatever it takes. But you need to manually, as a hiring manager, you need to manually sift through these things. You know, I was at Schwann's, we had a recruiter, we had a whole recruiting team, and my recruiter's name was Neil. Shout out to Neil if you're watching. But you know, that was his job. You know, we'd get flooded with applications, and it was his job to call these people, every single one of them, and talk through their application. Then he would determine, because he knew me, I would call and have a conversation. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I need. And then next thing you know, I would have 5 or 6 candidates that I needed to call and set up interviews with based on his phone conversation with them. And he would even send me some like, man, I'm on the fence on this one. I wasn't sure. Maybe a waste of your time, but it may not. He would let me know that. But I appreciated, like, hey, absolutely, thank you. And I will call him. You know, obviously at that job, there were specific requirements. You know, you had to have a driver's license. You couldn't have a DUI. Like, there were certain things that you would just be disqualified for. And it was nothing to do with who you are as a person. It had to do with DOT and the rules and regulations that they have in place to obtain a DOT card. And so that's really all he was filtering out, is just making sure that the people that were coming to me were eligible to be qualified to even get the DOT cards that they would need to do the job. And then also, obviously, if they had all those things, but they were about as smart as a fence post, then he would try to sift through that as well. And we've lost that. We've tried to automate it. We try to make it computerized. And, you know, I'm super, super grateful and thankful to God and the Lord above for, I took the risk to become an entrepreneur at the right time in my life and at the right time in society, because it is hard. It is so hard to live in that corporate world. It's a rat race. The market does this. There's job cuts all the time, and they add, and they subtract, and they add, and they subtract, and it's just, you have no control over any of this, and your family is relying on this. That is insane. And I always knew at a young age, like, man, I got to do something. This isn't for me. I knew this at a very young age, very young. I just didn't know how, and I wasn't raised, you know, in a family where there's entrepreneurs. You know, there's been some people in my generation, in my family, that have became entrepreneurs, but there was nobody really. Yeah, I can't think of a single person. So, you know, I wasn't really around those types of people that thought that way. I was around the people that, you know, you woke up, you worked 8 to 5, you put your 40 hours a week in, and you went home, and you just did that until you retired, and that was life. And it was paycheck to paycheck, and if you can get a raise, maybe get a little bit of a bump and take a small little trip and go out of town for a couple of days, maybe go to Branson or something like that, and you went back to work. That was how I grew up. And it took me to my late 20s to really where my eyes got opened up for the very first time. Like, wait a minute, hold on, maybe I'm not crazy. And then I met some other people that really not only opened my eyes, they put their hand out and offered help, offered guidance, offered advice. And I'll never be able to thank those people enough, and I'll forever be in debt to those people. They know who they are, but still talk to them this day. But I can't, and I push this stuff all the time, and I push being an entrepreneur, thinking for yourself, being on your own feet, having the freedom, homeschooling your kid, taking accountability for you and your family. Because let's be honest, I know I'm covering a lot of broad. I have a massive paintbrush. I'm making one big stroke here. I understand that, but our public school system is complete garbage, an epic failure across the board. Complete failure. And honestly, I have yet to talk to a teacher, and I know they're out there, trust me. I know they are. I'm not saying they don't exist. I know they do. But I have yet to talk to a teacher that agrees with the curriculum that they have to teach. Not a single teacher that I have talked to. And not only that, I've talked to some administrators as well, and they also don't agree with the curriculum. And they also tell me that I would be horrified if I knew what happened in a public school setting when parents aren't around. I'm not mentioning names, I'm mentioning schools, I'm not doing any of that. Because I know exactly what's going to happen if I do that. So if we're not going there, and it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. The problem is it's happening in our country, and it's a fact. That's the problem. And we want to overlook everything and brush it all under the rug, and we're not willing to stand up and protect our kids. We have administrators, we have teachers, we have board members that are not willing to stand up for what's right for our kids. And when you try to pinpoint them and back them into a corner and say, hey, I want an answer. Why is it this way? Why are you doing it this way? It's out of our control. They roll this stuff out to us. We have to go do a training, and we don't really have a say so. Yeah, because you're too late at that point. Where were you when they were electing these people's Mary or whoever? I don't know them. I'm just saying a name. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where were you then, Bob? Like, yeah, you're late now. Yeah, I understand that you didn't do your job in the beginning. That's what you're telling me. I got it. But I want to know, why aren't you doing your job in the beginning? Why aren't more administrators, why aren't elected board members throwing a fit? I would be. Why are you endorsing this? And you could go on and on. Like, the food that they're feeding your child at school is insane. What's in that food? It is insane. And they're going to cover it up. Well, we have to have this much protein. We have to have this much carbs. Yeah, you do. You're right. But what about the other stuff that's in it? That's the problem. Yeah, your nutrition facts are correct. Your kids do need that stuff. But what about the antifreeze? It's not actual antifreeze, but it might as well be. Legitimately, it might as well be. It is insane. I know, big paintbrush, big stroke. I know why. It went from hiring candidates to lunch at school with kids. I understand, but I'm just pointing out. There's just the reason it's so important is to have a successful company. You're gonna need to know how to source the right candidates. That's a fact. And that all ties into, if you can do that, you can take your kids out of a public school and homeschool your kids and invest in your kids and feed your kids the right way. Make sure the curriculum that they're learning is actually going to benefit them. They're learning about the stock market, investing, interest rates, credit, all these things that they're going to need to know that aren't taught in our public schools. They scratch the surface. And if we want to call it that, I'd say rub the surface. We don't even think we make indentions. Like, we don't teach our kids these things, but that is the key to success, to financial success in this country. You gotta have to know this stuff. Banks are not the way to go. If your money is sitting in a bank, epic fail. You need to educate yourself, reach out. I'm not making fun of you. Don't take it that way. I'm just saying you need to go educate yourself, because investing is where it is at. Your bank does not make money. Your money does not make money sitting in a bank. Buying a house. So this is a big one for me. You see people doing this all the time. My personal opinion, I would never buy a house. Not that you're living in. If you want to buy a house and make money with it, 100%, that's the way to go. To buy a house to live in, what a waste of money. Holy cow, what a waste of money. For what? Just so when you die, they can sell it? Like, it's not yours forever, bro. Like, what point are you trying to prove? Why don't you just go rent something that's affordable, that's cheaper than your mortgage, and nicer than a house that you could afford, And if you want to move, you can just move. If something breaks, you just call somebody, tell them to come fix it. Like, it's no money in your pocket, no sweat off your back, and you just move on. See where that makes sense? You have flexibility, and I understand people are, well, all that money just goes in the trash because it's not yours. Yeah, that's the point. I'm paying for them to come fix my stuff because I don't want to fix it. That's what I'm paying for. I'm also paying that I can just pack my stuff and leave, and I don't have to worry about selling this place. Good luck to you. Good riddance. Have a good one. That's what you're paying for. And people have this idea that this is my house and this is my, yeah, well, when you die, that's gonna go on the real estate market. That's where you're gonna pass it down to your family, and they're gonna die, and eventually it's going to go on the market. That's the problem, or that's the problem. That's not the problem. That's the way it works. And so we just get fascinated with, well, this is mine. Well, this is mine. Well, this is mine. Yeah, temporarily, while you're here, which isn't gonna be long. Our lifespans are pretty short compared to, how long we've been on Earth. I mean, we just have a little sliver, a fraction of time here. So I would highly recommend not buying a home to live in. I think that's a very big waste of money. But that's my own personal opinion. We all have different thoughts and beliefs, and that's fine. But I also think buying homes was for the banks and for the rich and for business transactions. And in the 50s and 60s, when the banks were really, really struggling, they really started pushing buying housing, and real estate became a big thing. And then here we are today. All that stuff is factual information. It's just my opinion that I feel like to this day, it's still for commercial purposes, for businesses and things like that. That's my own personal opinion. But anyways, I can't express to you guys, back to my main topic, I can't express to you guys enough the importance of hiring the right people, though, and sourcing the right people. And I'll give you some tips. So for sales, if you have a sales company, the best place to go recruit sales is go to places like Kohl's, Ross, TJ Maxx. Go to these retail stores where you have to be clean, they're customer facing. They also work crazy hours, crazy weekends, holidays, things like that. And if you're a company that has paid holidays and weekends off, you're just looking for a Monday to Friday, somebody to go get it, that's a really, really good place to go source candidates. It's an easy one. And not to mention, they don't really make that much at a retail store, especially if you're working on the floor. That's, to me, though, that's common sense. You know what I mean? Like, when I say that, I know some people are like, oh, but to me, it's like, if you don't even realize that, you probably shouldn't really be running your business. Like, you probably got to go educate yourself a little bit more. Like, if that was new information, then you need to go look in the mirror and what you're doing. These are people's livelihoods, and when you hire the wrong person, it screws them just as much as it screws you, because now they got to go find a different job, and maybe they have a wife, maybe they have a kid, maybe they have a best friend, maybe they have a mom that's sick that's relying on them to take. You don't know their situation. But at the end of the day, it's going to impact them in a very, very negative way, just the same way it impacted you. So both people lose here, and I think people lose sight of that. These are human beings we're talking about, and every human has a livelihood, and everybody's is different, and that's fine. That's the other issue managers have, is managers that are married want to discredit their employees that are single. Like, oh, well, and I used to joke about it. Like, oh, you have nothing to live for, so you can work on Saturday. It was obviously clearly a joke, and they knew I was joking. But the problem is there are managers that seriously feel that way. Well, you don't have kids yet, so you can do it. I have kids. You can work. Like, bro, yeah, maybe they don't want kids. It's because you have kids doesn't mean everybody has to have kids. Right? Everybody has to do everything the same. But I think knowing how to source candidates, knowing where to look, knowing where to recruit, it'll make your life way easier. It will make it way easier. Don't rely on Indeed or to find your candidate. Go find them yourself. It's so easy, guys. And most managers are terrible. Terrible. So getting good talent is not that hard. You just gotta go talk to people, like in person. Though you're not gonna be able to hide behind your computer or hide behind your phone and do this and then act like that. No, you're gonna actually go out and actually, hey, my name is Steve. What's your name? Hey, are you looking for anything? Are you pretty happy here? I'm actually owner of this company, and I'm actually looking to hire somebody. Starting pay $70,000. Just Monday to Friday, no weekends, no holidays, nothing like that. Home every night, no traveling. They're like 70,000. Like, oh yeah, that's just starting. I don't know how that compares to what you make here, or how happy you are. Or just saw the customer service you gave, and I just thought that was incredible. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. It's simple. It's so simple. Um, Anyways, I hope everybody is enjoying their week. Hope everybody's being disciplined. I hope people and more people are starting to get their wheels turning and get away from some of these huge corporations because they're not really needed, guys. To be honest, they're really not. We can provide for ourselves without them. You can provide. You go to farmers markets for food. You can have your own company. If you live in Florida, your taxes are way cheaper, and it's paradise. I woke up at 79, sunny outside, beautiful. I think it was in the 40s back home, so like beautiful. That's why we moved. And the other thing is the freedom that you're gonna have with being a business owner. You got to be disciplined. You can't ever lose track of your discipline. I would. Here's my advice. I would work on mind, body, and spirit until you nail it down. When I say nail it down, you need to nail it down for 30 consecutive days. Okay, it takes 28 days to form a habit. So if you can do it for 30 consecutive days in a row, now that's a habit for you. Once you have done that, then you can start looking for business because you need to develop discipline. Because this is going to fail if you don't have discipline going into it. And I promise you, you're not going to be able to flip a switch. Oh, I got a business, so now I'm going to be disciplined. No, it's not going to work. I've seen this time and time again. It's not. You need to be disciplined going into it. Okay? So get your discipline down. While you're working on your discipline, you can come up with your business idea, come up with your business plan. If you need investors, you can do a line of credit. Are you going to try to fund it yourself? Don't recommend. Having debt, when you first start a company, having debt's a good thing because you have a write-off at that point. And it's always good to have an avenue for a write-off if you need one. And so having a small amount of debt going into it allows you to have that write-off. And but I mean, there's different philosophies on it. I know some people like that is the dumbest thing I've ever. I get it. People have different philosophies on it. But anyways, all these things will amount to complete freedom for you and your entire family. And I think that's honestly the American dream: the freedom. The freedom to go do whatever you want, when you want, how you want, across this wonderful country. That is freedom. Freedom is not having to be required to clock in and clock out at some place. You have to eat lunch at this time, you clock out, you come back at this time and clock back in. That's not freedom. That's not freedom at all. But they train you to do that through our public school system. See why? So I hate this system, guys. I hate it. I hate this system. It's gross. They are literally training you to be a puppy. You come here by this time, we go eat lunch from this time. Kids are starving by the time it's lunchtime, and you can't eat whenever because then nobody has a snack for everybody. That's not fair. Blah, blah, blah. That's not the way the world works. So why are we running our school system that way? Anyway, enough of that. But freedom. That's where it's at. I highly encourage you guys, and you guys, if you ever have any questions on anything, just reach out, guys. I'm more than happy to help anybody that wants to better themselves for themselves and their family. So if you have any questions at all, I may take a while getting back to you. I do get flooded with messages, so it may take a little while, but I promise I do my best to sift through things and reply to the ones that I feel are genuine. And so I will reach back out to you, I promise. Just maybe a little bit. Anyways, take care of yourself, guys. Take care of your family. Be disciplined, and God bless. Keep it moving. Move Podcast, motivating others virtually every day. Thank you, guys.